Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. And our top story today, 52% of U.S. adults say money has a negative impact on their mental health. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is Ted Rossman of Bankrate. Ted, great to see you again. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And look, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I have to ask you, there's a new survey out from Bankrate. I want to ask you, how impactful negatively is concern about money? I mean, on our mental health?
Unfortunately, 52% of US adults say that money is negatively impacting their mental health. And that's up from 42% a year ago. So it's a really significant change in a year. A lot of it tracks back to inflation and also adjacent themes like day-to-day expenses and not having enough emergency savings. People are definitely worried about this, and it tends to be a weekly, maybe even daily concern. So it's definitely top of mind for a lot of people.
And that negativity, it's only, people can say it's only 52%. That's more than half of US adults, but that is carried through your day. So when you go to work, when you pick up your kids, if you have children, pick up your kids from school, it follows you around. It's not like you just forget about it. You just wipe your hand. You're impacted by it throughout the rest of your 24 hours.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And, I think also the way we tried to get at more significant issues. We asked people, and it was self-identified. So, I don't want to play too much of an armchair psychologist here, but, we're talking about losing sleep. We're talking about people that maybe report they're depressed about this, or they're really worried about it. So we do want to offer some tips too, because, this is a big issue for a lot of people. First of all, you have plenty of company. So maybe there's some strength in numbers. There are plenty of things you can do. If you have credit card debt, I could see where that's a big stressful topic. Rates are at record highs. You're using credit cards to finance day-to-day living. Maybe you could get a 0% balance transfer card and pause that interest clock for up to 21 months. Or, maybe you're worried about your savings. Could you take on a side hustle? Could you sell some stuff you don't need? Could you cut your expenses? Could you have money automatically transferred every paycheck into a dedicated savings account? I mean, even if it's not a lot of money at this point, can you up those percentages over time? And it'll grow over time. Same thing with your retirement account. Can you bump up your 401k contribution every few months or the next time you get a raise? I tend to think slow and steady can win the race with personal finance. So a lot of this comes down to those fundamentals.
Yeah, I agree with you. Slow and steady wins the race. And I think you made a really key point, Ted. You always make key points, but this one in particular, you're not alone. And whether we all go through ups and downs in our life, no matter what social media says, we all have challenges in our lives, whether they're financial, whether they're the loss of a loved one. Understanding that other people have been in your shoes or are in your shoes, that's an important takeaway here.
It is. Yeah, I think that is so important because these are things a lot of people wrestle with. I mean, basically half of credit card holders carry debt from month to month, and those rates are at record highs. And we know what's gone on with inflation, where your rent might be up 10%, your grocery bill might be up 10%. There are a lot of disconnects in the economy now, because on one hand, the job market's really strong and it's tied for the lowest unemployment rate in more than 50 years, and wage growth has been strong, but it hasn't kept pace with inflation for many people. And I think that's just what's weighing on people psychologically so much, is that you feel like you're not really getting ahead. So, hopefully the Fed can continue to bring inflation down. I know it's going to be a gradual process. It's been longer than people hoped for, but this is what Fed Chair Jerome Powell means when he talks about how inflation impacts everybody. And it's something that we really haven't seen in decades. And it's definitely a significant issue. We see it in our data.
Yeah. Ted, I need to take a very quick break. I want to pick this up on the back end. When we come back, we'll talk more about improving your overall mental health, including your money mental health. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Ted Rossman of Bankrate. Ted, thanks so much for sticking around with us this morning for segment number 2.
No problem. Good to be here.
Ted, I wonder, we all have our personal experiences that we go through life, again, loss of a loved one, managing our own money, having some challenges. But I wonder how much of our own mental health is based on things like the Consumer Confidence Index and how things are reported. Because, depending on how they're delivered to you, not you, Ted, but us in general, we could have a positive or negative feeling about something.
I think that's a big theme in the economy right now, is that we have a lot of things people are worried about. We keep we've been hearing for 2 years now that a recession's coming, and it hasn't come yet. But people say it is coming. And then job losses. There have been a number of layoff announcements in industries like tech and media, yet the overall unemployment rate has actually fallen a little bit. I think there are just so many of these things. When you talk about the K-shaped economy, that there is a lot of inequality, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. These are all important things to be monitoring, even at a household level. Huge difference between people who have credit card debt and those who don't, just in terms of like the interest rate every month, but other trends too. People have started to pull back on spending on physical goods, and yet they're still splurging on experiences. Travel and dining are really hot, concerts and sporting events. And I think a lot of this speaks to coming out of the pandemic and all the pent up demand that people still have. So I think in many respects, we are still sort of coming back from a lot of these shocks. And there were so many shocks to the economy and to supply chains. And I think a lot of people are reassessing their relationship with money and how they spend.
Yeah, you bring up a really great point. You always do. The importance of your relationship with money. And you mentioned this in the first segment, that emergency savings account. And look, it's hard. I can't get into Ted's shoes. Ted can't get into my shoes. But it's really hard, I think, for people to, in today's environment with high inflation, to even put a red cent away. It's so tough to put it away when you need to spend it on higher food prices. I mean, that inflation number, though lowering, is still pervasive. It impacts everything. But building that emergency savings, it's really critical. It's a really critical component in terms of your personal money infrastructure.
It is. Yeah. I think that one thing we talk about at Bankrate is that's kind of sleep at night money. That's something that speaks to this issue about mental health. And I know it's easier said than done to set that aside, but remember that it's a journey. So yes, even if the end point may be 6 months of expenses in the bank, you're not going to get there overnight, but systematically chip away at that. It'll help you out with that proverbial rainy day. It's also a buffer against future credit card debt, because if you don't have emergency savings, the next unexpected expense lands on a credit card and it gets that debt cycle restarted. So I do think those automatic paycheck transfers into savings, even if they're small for now, look to up them over time. And then just those other debt payoff tactics, 0% balance transfer cards, maybe nonprofit credit counseling would be another good option. And also just trying to find ways to earn more and spend less. I think these fundamentals can all help.
Yeah. How much, Ted, last question, how much checking your ego? I mean, we all like to think we're smarter than we are. My wife reminds me I'm not the smartest one in the room when we're in the room together. But in all seriousness, how much of it is humility, checking your own ego and saying, I got to be a lifetime learner here. I don't know everything. I may not have dealt with certain circumstances, and I just need to be more open to solutions, especially when it comes, Ted, to money. I mean, you got to be, we don't know everything. You and I, you're a smart guy, but I bet that there are circumstances that you haven't experienced that maybe you would have to be educated, you have to educate yourself on in order to kind of put yourself through.
Sure. Yeah. Money is a hard thing for people to talk about. It's pretty taboo in society, I would say. It's often not taught a whole lot in school or even at home. And yeah, you sort of have to figure it out as you go. But I do wish we would have more of these conversations. And I think that can be a homework assignment for people too, is to break down some of these boundaries, like at home with your spouse or your kids, if appropriate, or parents or friends, or, it's so interesting. We've done a lot of research into things like financial infidelity and people keep secrets. We also see that a lot of young adults are more likely to talk about things like their salary with their friends and coworkers. And I actually do wonder if through the generations and maybe through social media, maybe we are starting to break down some of these boundaries. I think student loan burdens are another one. I think that's really a shared burden among a lot of 20 and 30 somethings. And maybe it makes some of this a little bit less taboo, because it is hard for people to talk about, but I think you need to face it head on. And there are a lot of solutions, but you need to actively work on it. It's not going to solve itself.
Yeah, it's like kind of like, the birds and the bees, how that one was that was a hard one for parents to sit down with the little Johnny and say, here's how it all kind of works out. Money is, you're right. Money is, I'm so, not crass, but I mean, I'm going back to the 70s. Ted, we're going to have to leave it there. Great topic, great research as always from the folks at Bankrate. And look, we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon, my friend.
Sounds great. Me too.
And that wraps up this episode of BRNAM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more in all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content, we'll visit our website, and of course, all of our streaming partners. We're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRNAM. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the First Lifestyle and Wellness Network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Tax audits, tax liens, wage garnishments.
Every day we hear stories like this about good folks who are simply struggling to pay their bills. Each of them are living a frightening IRS tax nightmare, and they are afraid it will destroy their lives.
I'm a divorced single mom, and my ex-husband left me and the kids with a lot of unpaid bills, including unpaid taxes. I was really starting to show my stress on my kids because the IRS had sent me a letter demanding a huge payment from me. I couldn't afford it. So then the IRS was threatening to garnish my wages. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. That would have put me over the edge financially.
It truly seemed hopeless, but then a friend at work told her to call the tax relief line.
The people at the tax relief line, they told me about something called innocent spouse relief. They worked it out so that all of the taxes from my ex are not my problem. I don't know how that works, and I don't care. All I care about is that I don't owe the IRS a dime, and they are not going to take my paycheck.
Even if it seems hopeless, you should call the number on your screen right now. There is absolutely no cost for the call or the consultation. You are under no obligation. If you are worried that the IRS could garnish your wages, seize your assets, even take your home, call us right now. The Tax Relief Line is here to help you. Now you have a knowledgeable, professional team of tax experts that are ready to negotiate with the IRS and fight for you to save you money. The Tax Relief Line's professionals have successfully negotiated thousands of cases, reducing and sometimes even eliminating the tax debt for their clients. It's very easy to get started. Simply call the number on your screen right now. You don't have to live in fear anymore. The call and the consultation are free.